The marketplace does not reward intentions, it rewards value. The world does not ask how badly you want success, it quietly observes what you have become. That is the art of becoming valuable. It is not loud, it is not flashy. It is subtle, patient, and deeply personal. Value is not something you ask for, and it is not something you demand. Value is something you earn, quietly and consistently, through daily discipline and personal growth. Life has a very simple formula. It rewards what you become. Not what you hope for, not what you talk about, but what you consistently practice. The tragedy for many people is not lack of opportunity, but lack of preparation to be worthy of the opportunity when it arrives. Every day you are becoming something. You are either becoming more disciplined or more careless, more skilled or more average, more thoughtful or more distracted. No one stays the same. The direction of your daily habits determines the direction of your future value. Small choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but they are the building blocks of reputation, income influence, and self-respect. Discipline is the bridge between potential and value. Potential is what you could be, value is what you actually deliver. The gap between the two is filled by daily disciplines. Reading when you don't feel like it. Practicing when no one is watching. Improving when there is no immediate reward. These are not dramatic actions, but they are powerful ones. Success is rarely the result of one bold move. It is the result of many small disciplines repeated over time. Growth begins the moment you decide to work harder on yourself than on anything else. Many people spend years trying to fix their circumstances without ever fixing themselves. They change jobs, cities, relationships, and strategies, but they carry the same habits, the same thinking, and the same level of discipline with them. And then they wonder why nothing truly changes. Your circumstances do not determine your value. Your habits do. If you want to increase your value, start with your mind. What you feed your mind daily shapes your thinking, and your thinking shapes your decisions. A few minutes of reading each day compounds into wisdom. A few minutes of reflection each day sharpens judgment. Over time, your thoughts become clearer, your choices become wiser, and your value increases naturally. You don't have to announce growth. It shows up in how you speak, how you decide, and how you perform. Daily discipline also teaches self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, you build confidence. When you break promises to yourself, you weaken your self-belief. Valuable people trust themselves because they do what they say they will do. They show up when it's inconvenient. They follow through when it's uncomfortable. That inner integrity becomes visible on the outside as reliability, consistency, and strength of character. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it requires change, and change demands letting go of familiar patterns. The comfort zone is a dangerous place. It feels safe, but nothing grows there. Every skill you lack, every habit you avoid, every discipline you postpone is silently costing you value. The price of discipline is always less than the cost of regret, but regret doesn't send you a bill until years later. Daily discipline is not about perfection. It is about direction. Missing a day does not ruin you, but quitting does. Valuable people do not wait for motivation. They act on commitment. They understand that feelings are unreliable, but habits are powerful. They design their days around what matters, not around what feels easy. Growth also requires patience. Value compounds slowly, just like interest. In the early stages, the progress is almost invisible. You read, you practice, you learn, and it feels like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Then one day, the results appear suddenly, and people call it overnight success. What they didn't see were the years of quiet discipline that made that moment inevitable. Remember, the world pays for value, not effort. Effort is important, but value is what effort produces. Two people can work equally hard, but the one who invests in growth, skill, and discipline becomes more valuable over time. The goal is not to work harder forever, but to become better so your work produces more. Make a simple decision today. Improve something. Practice something. Strengthen a discipline. Do it again tomorrow and the next day. Over time, you won't need to chase opportunities. Your value will attract them. That is the art of becoming valuable, and it always begins with daily discipline and steady growth. Your income, your influence, and your opportunities rarely grow beyond your level of personal development. Life has an unwritten rule: it does not reward need, it rewards growth. You may need more money, more respect, or more freedom, but need alone does nothing. What changes everything is who you become in the process of pursuing those things. When you grow, your results grow with you. Many people spend their lives negotiating outcomes without upgrading themselves. They want a bigger reward for the same level of skill, the same mindset, and the same habits. But the world does not work on sympathy, it works on value. If you want a larger return, you must become a larger person internally. Personal development is the invisible work that produces visible results. Growth begins with awareness. You cannot improve what you refuse to acknowledge. Valuable people take honest inventory of themselves. They ask difficult questions. What do I need to learn? What skills am I lacking? Where am I undisciplined? Where am I emotionally reactive instead of thoughtful? This self-examination is uncomfortable, but it is powerful. Denial protects ego, but awareness builds value. Personal development is not about comparing yourself to others. It is about competing with who you were yesterday. Comparison steals energy that could be invested in improvement. When you focus on your own growth, progress becomes measurable and motivating. One new skill, one improved habit, one corrected weakness at a time. This is how value is built. Learning is a lifelong responsibility. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing. Valuable people are students long after formal education ends. They read, listen, observe, and ask questions. They understand that ignorance is expensive and knowledge is profitable. Even a small daily investment in learning compounds into better judgment, better decisions, and better results. Your thinking patterns also determine your level of development. If you think small, you act small. If you think long-term, you act with patience and strategy. Personal growth reshapes how you interpret challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift alone increases resilience, maturity, and effectiveness. Another part of development is emotional control. Talent may open doors, but emotional intelligence keeps them open. Valuable people do not let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. They learn to pause, reflect, and respond instead of reacting. This calm strength under pressure is rare, and rarity increases value. Anyone can panic, few can stay composed and think clearly. Communication is another multiplier of value. You may have great ideas, but if you cannot express them clearly, their impact is limited. Personal development sharpens your ability to listen, to speak with clarity, and to persuade with integrity. Clear communication reduces conflict, builds trust, and increases influence, qualities that raise your worth in any environment. Personal growth also demands responsibility. Blame is easy, but it produces nothing. Responsibility is heavy, but it produces results. When you accept responsibility for your development, you stop waiting for permission or perfect conditions. You take ownership of your time, your habits, and your future. This mindset alone separates leaders from followers. Growth is often lonely. While others are entertaining themselves, you may be educating yourself. While others are complaining, you may be correcting yourself. This difference may not feel rewarding immediately, but it is always rewarding eventually. The pain of discipline is temporary. The benefits of growth are lasting. Personal development does not change your life overnight, but it changes the direction of your life forever. Each book read, each skill learned, each habit improved raises your capacity. And as your capacity increases, so does your value. The world makes room for people who can think better, decide better, and contribute more. If you want more from life, become more. Invest in your mind, refine your character, sharpen your skills, and strengthen your discipline. Because when personal development becomes your daily practice, success stops being a struggle and starts becoming a natural outcome of who you have become. Skills can make you useful, but character is what makes you indispensable. In the long run, people are not rewarded simply for what they know, but for who they are when pressure arrives. Talent may open the door, but character determines how long you stay in the room. This is why true value is never built on ability alone. It is built on integrity, consistency, and trust. Character shows up when no one is watching. It is revealed in the small decisions that seem insignificant at the time. Being honest when a lie would be easier. Showing up on time when no one is counting minutes. Doing the job thoroughly even when recognition is unlikely. These choices quietly shape your reputation, and reputation is one of the most valuable assets you can own. Trust is the currency of long-term success. People may admire talent, but they rely on character. When others trust you, opportunities expand. When trust is broken, even great ability struggles to recover. Valuable people understand that trust is built slowly and lost quickly. That awareness guides their actions, words, and commitments. Reliability is a form of character that multiplies value. Anyone can perform well occasionally, few can perform well consistently. Being dependable means people do not have to worry about you. They know you will do what you said you would do. That certainty is rare, and rarity increases worth. When people can count on you, you become a stabilizing force in any environment. Humility is another cornerstone of character. Humility does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less. Valuable people remain teachable even as they become skilled. They listen before they speak. They learn from criticism instead of resisting it. Pride closes the door to growth, but humility keeps it open. Character also includes self-control. In moments of frustration, temptation, or stress, character acts as a compass. Valuable people do not let impulses control outcomes. They understand that short-term satisfaction often leads to long-term regret. By choosing discipline over impulse, they protect their future value. Adversity reveals character faster than comfort ever will. When things go wrong, some people complain, blame, or quit. Others adapt, learn, and endure. The second group becomes valuable not because they avoid problems, but because they grow through them. Every challenge handled with integrity strengthens character and increases respect. Consistency between words and actions is critical. Promises mean little without follow-through. Valuable people are careful with their commitments because they take them seriously. They would rather under-promise and over-deliver than impress with words and disappoint with results. Over time, this alignment creates credibility, and credibility creates influence. Character also shapes how you treat people. How you speak to those who cannot benefit you reveals your true values. Respect, patience, and fairness build goodwill that often returns unexpectedly. People remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you said or did. That emotional memory contributes to your long-term value. It is easy to focus on skill development because skills are measurable. Character development is quieter and less visible, but far more powerful. Skills may get you hired, character gets you recommended. Skills may earn applause, character earns loyalty. Skills may impress temporarily, character sustains success. Building character is a daily practice. It is not a single decision, but a pattern of choices. Each time you choose integrity over convenience, responsibility over excuse, and discipline over comfort, you strengthen your foundation. Over time, this foundation supports greater responsibility, greater opportunity, and greater reward. In the end, the most valuable people are not just capable, they are trustworthy. They bring both competence and conscience to the table. When skill and character walk together, value becomes undeniable. And in a world that desperately needs people it can trust, character is what makes you truly irreplaceable. Problems are not interruptions to your growth, they are the curriculum. Every difficulty you face is quietly asking a question. Who are you becoming because of this? Many people see problems as unfair obstacles, but valuable people see them as invitations to rise. The size of the problem is rarely the issue. The level of the person facing it is what determines the outcome. Life does not eliminate problems as you grow. When you are inexperienced, you face small challenges. As you become more capable, the challenges become more complex. This is not punishment, it is progress. Bigger problems are evidence that life trusts you with more responsibility. Complaining about challenges is often a sign that growth has not yet caught up with opportunity. Every problem contains information. It exposes gaps in skill, discipline, thinking, or character. If you pay attention, problems become teachers. If you ignore the lesson, the problem repeats, often in a more intense form. Valuable people do not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What must I learn to handle this better next time?" Problems develop skills that comfort never could. Patience is learned under delay. Courage is developed under fear. Wisdom is sharpened through mistakes. Resilience is built through pressure. If life were easy all the time, your capacity would remain small. Growth requires resistance, just as muscles require weight. How you respond to problems determines your future value. Panic weakens judgment. Blame wastes energy. Avoidance delays growth. But responsibility strengthens you. When you take ownership of a challenge, you regain control. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a student of experience. This shift alone separates valuable people from average ones. Problems also refine thinking. Under pressure, shallow thinking collapses. You are forced to analyze, prioritize, and decide. Over time, this produces mental toughness. You learn to remain calm when others become emotional. You learn to think clearly when the situation is unclear. This ability is rare, and rarity increases value. There is also a hidden gift in repeated problems. If the same challenge keeps appearing in your life, it is pointing to an unresolved weakness. Valuable people do not resent repetition, they respect it. They understand that until the lesson is learned, the test will continue. Once the lesson is mastered, the problem often disappears or loses its power. Problems also reveal character. When things go wrong, true attitudes surface. Some people shrink, others step up. Some look for excuses, others look for solutions. Over time, people notice who remain steady under pressure. Trust grows toward those who can be relied upon in difficult moments. That trust becomes opportunity. Facing problems builds confidence, but not the fragile kind based on praise. It builds earned confidence, the kind that comes from knowing you have survived difficulty before. Each challenge handled well becomes evidence that you can handle the next one. This inner certainty changes how you carry yourself, how you decide, and how others perceive you. Avoiding problems may bring temporary comfort, but it always limits growth. What you avoid today becomes stronger tomorrow. What you confront today becomes weaker over time. Valuable people do not seek problems, but they do not run from them either. They meet them with courage and curiosity. Problems also expand your capacity to serve. The challenges you overcome become tools you can use to help others. Experience turns into wisdom. Pain becomes perspective, and perspective increases value because it allows you to guide, support, and lead more effectively. In the end, problems are not there to stop you. They are there to shape you. They are the training ground for strength, insight, and maturity. When you stop seeing problems as enemies and start seeing them as instructors, growth accelerates. Solve bigger problems, and you become a bigger person. And as you become bigger on the inside, your value to the world increases naturally and permanently. Consistency is the quiet force that turns ordinary effort into extraordinary value. Anyone can improve for a day, a week, or even a month. Very few people stay committed long enough for the results to compound. That is why consistency is so powerful. It separates those who start from those who become. Small improvements may feel insignificant in the moment. Reading a few pages, practicing a skill for a short time, refining a habit by a small degree. None of these actions create immediate transformation. But value is not built in dramatic leaps. It is built in steady layers. Each small improvement is like placing a single brick. One brick means little, but thousands of bricks form something solid and lasting. The danger is underestimating small actions. People often wait for big opportunities, big motivation, or big changes, while ignoring the small disciplines that actually create progress. Valuable people understand that greatness is not a result of intensity alone, but of continuity. What you do occasionally matters far less than what you do consistently. Consistency removes the need for constant motivation. Motivation rises and falls, but habits remain. When improvement becomes part of your routine, growth happens almost automatically. You no longer debate whether to show up, you simply do. This reliability builds inner strength and external trust. Others begin to see you as stable, dependable, and disciplined. Time is the multiplier that gives small actions their power. One day of effort produces little, but 1 year of steady effort produces transformation. 5 minutes of learning a day may not feel impressive, but over time it reshapes your thinking. A slight improvement in discipline each day may seem unremarkable, but over months it changes your identity. You don't just do better, you become better. Consistency also builds credibility. People trust patterns, not promises. When your behavior aligns day after day, your word carries weight. You no longer need to convince others of your value. Your track record speaks for you. This quiet credibility opens doors that talent alone cannot. There will be days when consistency feels boring. Progress is often repetitive, not exciting. But boredom is not a signal to quit. It is a signal that mastery is being formed. Valuable people do not confuse boredom with failure. They understand that repetition is the price of excellence. Missing a day is not the real danger. The real danger is the story you tell yourself after missing a day. Consistent people forgive quickly and return immediately. They do not allow one mistake to become a pattern. They focus on direction, not perfection. Forward motion, even if slow, always beats standing still. Consistency also shapes identity. Repeated actions become habits, habits become character, and character becomes destiny. When you consistently act with discipline, learning, and responsibility, those traits become part of who you are. At that point, effort feels lighter because it aligns with your identity. Small improvements also protect you from overwhelm. Trying to change everything at once often leads to burnout, but improving one small thing at a time is sustainable. Valuable people play the long game. They understand that slow growth is not weak growth. It is stable growth. Over time, consistency creates momentum. What once required effort begins to require less. Skills sharpen, confidence strengthens, and results accelerate. People may suddenly notice your success, unaware that it is the result of years of quiet repetition. Momentum rewards those who stayed when others stopped. In the end, massive value is rarely the result of massive effort in one moment. It is the result of small disciplines honored daily. Stay consistent when progress feels invisible. Keep improving when no one is watching, because time will eventually reveal what consistency has been building all along. So make this decision today, not to wish for more, but to become more. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Invest in your mind, your skills, your habits, and your character. Because when you master the art of becoming valuable, success stops being something you chase and starts being something you attract. Become valuable, and the world will make room for you